I'm Dr. Justin Baker, one part of the whole team here at Trinity Sports Medicine Performance Center. We're very excited to offer you specialized and unique options for both your orthopedic injuries and wellness treatment.
If you're hurt, go see Dr. Baker at Trinity Sports Medicine.
When you're injured, you need a team of professionals who can get you back to your game. At Trinity Sports Medicine and Performance Center, Dr. Scarpone, Snell, and Orlowski are committed to treating you effectively so you can return quickly and safely back to the activities you enjoy. Trinity Sports Medicine.
Hey, welcome. Week 12, Star Sportscast. Mike Mathison, Matthew Peaslee, and not having Melissa Click here. So we won't get shouted down for actually, our First Amendment rights of free speech. And
no muscle here.
No muscle here. Because obviously she needs muscle.
Yeah.
And, yeah. But I am trying to figure out, though, how a common ground public place can be called a safe space where media is not allowed.
At a world-renowned journalism school where they should know the
so a
rules.
Public space on a public university did not want media, but they wanted media because they wanted to get out their message. And let's get a communications professor to tell you can't do your job.
Ipso facto.
So who's going to sit in her class?
I don't know. Not me.
Yeah.
Star Sports.
I'm just glad it's communication, not journalism.
Because I like that there are two separate things. Because at West Virginia, it is two separate schools.
Right. It's separate.
But some schools do intertwine both of them. But I like the separate cases here.
Yeah.
It's not journalism.
Yeah.
Toronto.
Yes. Speaking of journalism.
Yeah.
So we just see there the Toronto Red Knights. Not only did they last week they get a Shaquille O'Neal shout out, they got a Lawrence Taylor shout out.
LT.
How good is that?
Everyone's on board with the Red Knights.
Everyone's on the Red Knight bandwagon.
Not
that they shouldn't be.
Yeah. Brandon Mitchell said when I asked him about the whole Shaq thing, he says, "I guess he just likes champions. I guess LT just likes champions too." So they're on board. Wow. The entire Gem City community is on board. It was
How many people are going to be in Austin Fitch Friday night at 7:30?
That's a pretty big stadium,
with JFK.
And there's going to be more Toronto fans than JFK fans there. And it was so exciting to be part of that playoff atmosphere in Toronto last week. Just for the first time hosting a playoff game, and I mean they get great crowds week in and week out over there anyway.
But this was a whole other level.
You get off the exit there, and it's lining the fence down the exit there to Toronto, signs and banners and cardboard cutouts line the streets. Really? And I love this. They had one of these at the stadium and one of these at these fences right off the exit where they put the cups that spell out Go Team or Go Red Knights. They had one. That's got to be hard to do, hard to map out. I couldn't do that. But they get those styrofoam cups and they spell it out. Toronto did a bang-up job of decorating that with the cups and everything. So
bang-up job.
Really,
and bang-up job, 49-7, no less.
Yeah. I texted you during Matthews scored first.
Yeah,
they had Brian Lipley. He had a couple good runs there, and I said, I don't know if Toronto can handle this. This might be something they haven't seen all year. But man, they shut him down. They shut down anything Matthews was trying to do, and that's been the story all year for Toronto. But big game, they really came and showed up, and really pleased with what I saw, as was everybody who was there in attendance. Matthews brought a pretty good crowd on the other side with them because they had back-to-back playoff appearances, which isn't common up there in northern Trumbull County. So big props to them for traveling well and supporting their team. But
don't think they saw 49-7 coming.
No, and Matthews wanted to win this game because they have a little bit of a rivalry there with JFK. It's almost like Toronto and Catholic Central here, where Warren and JFK, they don't play each other that often, but with JFK kind of dwindling in size a little bit, Matthews and JFK are almost on the same level. But so Matthews would have liked to see two Trumbull County teams going up against each other, but Toronto did a good job of putting all that to rest, and now Toronto gets that matchup with JFK at Austintown Fitch. And I told you, I think Toronto's going to pack the place. It's a pretty big stadium up there, but they're going to travel. It's an easy trip up 11.
Yeah, it is an easy trip.
Up 11, 224 a little bit. So I fully expect as good of a crowd as I saw last week at home to travel to Austintown Fitch for a game that I think Toronto's going to win.
I said it for 3 weeks. I think Toronto gets to the regional championship game because they're better than people give them credit for. They look at their schedule and say they didn't play any or beat anybody.
Right.
The bottom line is that's a really good football team. It's just talent upon talent. They've done a really nice job. Coach Meek and his coaching staff has done a really nice job. This senior class was 3-7 as freshmen. Now they're 10-1, and you don't get to 10-1 by accident.
No.
That's a lot of hard work. You talk to some of the kids after the game. I talked to some of the kids the week before after they beat Madonna. And this is not a 10-1 team by accident. It's just not.
Right. JFK comes into this almost like Matthews, where they're going to run the ball.
Right.
And Toronto's used to that. I think they're expecting the run here. If JFK is going to keep running the ball, they don't have a running back like Brian Lipley. They do spread the ball out a little bit. They have a really good quarterback who runs the ball named Bobby Jefferson, one of only 2 seniors on this team.
Wow.
And this Bobby Jefferson guy, it's his first year with JFK. He transferred from Youngstown East last year. So they only have 1 senior who's been in the program for a long time.
Okay.
So they're a young team. We're going to be seeing them in the Division 7 playoffs probably next year and the year after that. But so this team obviously is JFK. They're 10-1 for a reason too. So
I agree.
They're no slouch. But I think Toronto can handle with what JFK is going to be throwing at them on offense because they shut down everybody on their schedule so far this year and took care of a good Matthews team last week. So I like Toronto's chances.
So you got Blaine Rawson is 57 of 87 for 1193, 12 touchdowns. Blaze Glenn, second leading receiver and rusher. He's ran the balls 56 for 642 and 10 and touchdowns. 16 catches for 335 and 2. Max Tice is 78 yards on 75 carries and 9 touchdowns. And some guy named Ty West, 607 yards and 8 scores. Drew Lowry rushing. Drew Lowry, that's just a good football team. It's just a really, really good football team, and good luck to them. And I can handle a regional semifinal, regional championship game.
Mm-hmm.
The game you're going to be at, Brooke at Morgantown, a rematch of Week 2. Coach Bowers has said he doesn't think Brooke has changed much from Week 2. They've just gotten better.
Yeah.
They have some guy named Thomas Cole, 61 catches for 793. Huddy is 130 of 198 for 1457, 15 touchdowns. Justin Lawfrey has 913 yards and 10 touchdowns. He had a slow start to the season because Brooke decided to take a lot of the playmakers, put them on the defensive side of the ball, and have a young offensive line. When Morgantown played in Week 2, that young offensive line was still trying to figure themselves out. Now we are 10 weeks later, and that offensive line is no longer young. Now you come into a Morgantown team that got beat by Whitney Park a couple weeks ago, and since then have won 3 straight games, including beating. They finished the season beating University, I think it was.
Right, they had a bye week leading up into the playoffs. Their last win was against University, rivalry game down there in Morgantown. Jordan Page is their big guy on offense. He had a big game against University. Usually lines up at running back. Sometimes he lines up at quarterback, takes a direct snap, and goes with it there. But he's going to be the guy to stop for Brooke. Jordan Page, Morgantown's Jordan Page. If they can shut him down, I like their chances.
Well, because Brooke and Brooke and Morgantown both had Week 11 buys, so they both looked at what was going on Friday night, and with South Charleston beating GW, and when that game was like 41-7, I'm sure both coaches then realized they were going to play each other, which means they got to start, sometime early Saturday morning, obviously, but they knew sometime Friday night what was going to happen. Yeah, which I just find it very interesting to see that both teams, both 2 OVEC teams, get a rematch at Pony Lewis Field. By the way, it does not have a press box. Apparently they tore it down.
They renovated it too recently.
Yeah, apparently they tore it down not knowing that Morgantown would actually have a home playoff game. So you wanted to be on the field, you're going to be on the field.
Sounds good to me. It's where I love watching the games from down
Plus
there.
you got to take pictures anyway, so it's going to be a good game.
And looking at common opponents too, not only did they play themselves, they did play Park.
Right.
Morgantown lost to Park 35-7.
Lost to Park at Morgantown.
Yeah, and Brooke beat them.
Park at Park.
Yeah.
Park's only loss.
That was a 40-20 game win for Brooke, and it took the Morgantown overtime to beat Parkersburg South. That was a 23-20 win by Morgantown, right. And Brooke handled Parkersburg South Brooke, Crane, Parkersburg South 40-20, and beat Wheeling Park 21-8. 18. So common opponents. They look to be almost evenly matched. And that was a close game the first time they had there.
Yeah, 7-7.5, and Morgantown scored 20 in the third to pretty much take care of it.
Yeah.
You can have fun. Mm-hmm. You can have fun. Mm-hmm. Saturday, those are 2 Friday games. Saturday, Weir High goes to Bluefield, which is going to be played at Mitchell Stadium. It originally was going to be at Princeton High School because Bluefield State had a game there at Mitchell Stadium. Bluefield State and their opponent, which whom I don't know, the opponent said yes to moving the game to Saturday night. So Weir High and Bluefield will play at Mitchell Stadium, the regular home. That is not an on-campus stadium. That's where both teams play. Bluefield is ranked 2nd in the state. Weir High ranked 15th in the state. Weir High Friday night watched themselves go from, I think, 12th to 15th, largely because Westside beat a Mingo Central team that pretty much sat everybody. Mm-hmm. So the number 16 team in the state beat the number 5 team in the state. That moved Weir High down to where they are now playing Bluefield. It's not an uncommon opponent for Weir High. They've played Bluefield many times before. Last time they played them, I think, beat them in the 05 state championship. And look, this is a team, Weir High, that just like, had last week off. Cam Davis is over 1,000 yards rushing, 15 touchdowns, averages 7.2 a carry. Whipsack is 51 for 106 for about 979 scores. Donovan Spencer caught 7. Donovan Spencer's averaging 43 yards a catch.
Wow.
That's an insane number. Let's see. JoJo West, 7 catches. He's averaging almost 30 a catch. Cody Enready in the backfield. Grant Kerrigan, they also throw the ball to, and that defense has been really good lately, and the defense is going to have to step up big time.
They're going to need it all year. No matter who Weir's playing, usually the opposing coach says, "Man, they got a lot of team speed. They're a fast team." Same could be said for Bluefield. I was looking at an article of one of their last games. The last game at the end of October, they played James Monroe, beat them 55-6. John Mustaine, the James Monroe coach, said, "Wow, that's a buzzsaw. They have a lot of speed. No matter who touches the ball, they're fast." So that's going to be a tough task for the Weir defense. Obviously, they do have Cam Davis as their main rusher. Right. Bluefield's got 2 guys, Carlos Reed and Mookie Collier, 2 running backs who both have over 1,000 yards on the year.
Really?
So that's a 2-headed monster back there.
Daunting task for the
that's, again, if you could shut them down, it's not going to be an easy task, but I like Weir's chances if they can maybe just shut one of them down. But they both have over 100 yards per game on a regular basis throughout the season. So
this could be a shootout like last year when they lost to Westside 56-52. This could be one of those.
Going to be like another
last team with the ball wins.
Another trip down south for hopefully not a similar result, but I do see a back and forth game with it coming down to the wire. They don't pass the ball too much. Jordan Smith is their quarterback. He had 100 yards passing in that game against James Monroe at the end of the year, but their bread and butter is running the ball. So
they primarily run the ball.
Yep.
So Jordan Allen and Brandon Taylor and all those guys get to Dominic Murphy. They're going to
some work up front.
Some work up front. So that the defensive line is going to Kyle Baldwin. That defensive line is going to see some action.
Yeah, and they're big. I'm sure they're up to the task also.
At least I'm thankful Bluefield's a lot easier to get to than Westside last year. So
was that 79, and then where do you have to veer off?
It's just go down 79 and veer off somewhere. Yeah. But it's 5 hours, but it's an easy 5 hours. At least straight down 77, as opposed to getting
backwards,
to Westside. Yeah, that was not
Bluefield Blue Jays minor league team. Used to be the Bluefield Orioles. Bluefield Blue Jays gave out a Steve Harvey bobblehead this year too. At one of their games, yeah.
Nice.
In McDowell County, that's where Steve Harvey's from.
We've lost Matt Goline.
He's looking like Steve Harvey after a stupid answer on Family Feud too. That's what he looks like when he's looking at the camera.
Steubenville Big Red.
Well, I want to talk about Steve Harvey because Steve Harvey's funny.
I've always loved Family Feud, but man, he makes
it's a whole nother level, doesn't he?
Yep, best host they've had.
Ever. Mm-hmm. He beats Richard Dawson.
Mm-hmm. He was the original.
Yeah. But Steve Harvey's just hilarious. That show is funny.
Steubenville!
Saturday night, 7 p.m. at Minerva High School, the Steubenville Big Red will take on Salem Quakers. I was a little bit surprised at the Minerva choice. I understand it geographically. I'm not sure they're going to – look, Big Red fans get there early anyway, so they might take up the majority of whatever parking is there. I like the facility. I like the stadium. I was there to watch Big Red Liverpool boys soccer get after it. So the facility's nice, place is nice, just not sure about the parking and the seating. So I'm guessing there'll be a few folks stand on the fence watching the game.
Wasn't the problem they had last year with the game at Meadowbrook? Big Red had a second-round playoff game out there, too, and same concerns. They used the whole... Big Red was technically the away team, I think,
right.
And they used them for the home fans because they knew more Big Red fans were traveling.
Like I said, I have no problem with the site because I think it's going to be easy to get to for both teams. Big Red's 10-0. They beat Creek last week 40-0. It was 20-0 at half, picked up 20 in the second half. The last two games, they held St. Clair's with 118 yards of total offense. Last week, they held Creek to -4 yards of total offense. They're just they got one injury. William Poplaski's out for this game. He got injured in the first or second quarter against Creek. Other than that, they're relatively healthy. That defense is still nasty. It got nastier because Jalen McGee came back, number 5, who missed the first 10 weeks of the season, including practice time. They're just good.
Yep.
They're just really, really, really good. And Salem, well, you have some stuff on Salem.
This is their best year in a while. I mean, I know Big Red and Salem met up, was it the 2009 playoffs?
Correct.
But this is only the third time in school history that Salem has 10 wins on the year.
Okay.
So this is a special year for them, too. I mean, this is the best Big Red team, I'm sure, in a while, maybe since their state championship runs. But this is a special year for Salem also. Their big guy in the backfield is Cooper Bizzetti. Had 155 yards rushing in their win over Indian Valley last week. But kind of interesting stats there. Salem had 12 first downs. Indian Valley had 22 first downs. Salem had 362 yards of total offense. Indian Valley had 370 yards of total offense. So they got outgained by a decent margin, but still won the game 21-6. Turnovers. They turned the ball. Indian Valley turned it over. Salem fumbled twice, gave up one of them. But I think Big Red's defense is going to handle this team pretty well.
Yeah, Salem's going to have a hard time running the ball against them just because of the way Big Red's defense moves to the ball. And then if you get behind, the last thing you want to do is try and throw the ball against that because it's just
decent quarterback with Matt Weingart is his name. Threw for 88 yards against Indian Valley, but he's had a solid season. That's what we said about Zach Bigelow and Brendan Ferns at St. Clairsville too. But Big Red shut them down pretty well, and I think it's going to be same story this time with a Big Red win.
Yeah, last week against Creek, Dimitri Kolaris threw for 270 on 20 of 29. He's thrown for almost 2,000 for the season with 21 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. Pookie Petaway had 7 catches last week for $104. Charles Rees leads the Big Reds with 40 grabs for 680 and 9 touchdowns. Nico Petrides has 31 for 631 and 6 touchdowns. Let's see. Johnny Blue has ran the ball 1,100 yards and 23 touchdowns. They just spread the ball out so well.
Yeah,
they just they just do. And obviously Johnny Blue is their number one runner. Dimitri can run the ball, doesn't do it much. And, they can hand the ball off to Devin Ferguson here and a couple other people there, but it's basically Johnny Blue. But, when you have guys like Charles Reed to throw the ball to, Nico to throw the ball to, Devin Ferguson out of the backfield, throw the ball to, they're just going to be hard to beat. It's just going to be hard to beat them.
Reading some stories, Salem has kind of stressed how undersized they are. And just seeing, I'm just picturing Charles Reeves towering over that defensive line. And it's going to be tough for those guys to bring him down. So,
well, it's going to be just tough in general, because Big Red just does such a nice job of playing such teams. Their team speed is, something very few teams have seen. Just very few teams have seen, and Salem's going to be surprised. I mean, you can't see speed on game film, just can't. All right,
nice.
Four games.
Let's see if our guys
we
go
have 4 games
4-0.
next week. That'd be nice. That'd be really nice. I'd love to see 2 teams in the regional championships and 2 West Virginia teams in the quarterfinals.
Keep this football thing going.
Yeah. Ready to go?
Ready to go.
I see you. Mike, see you. Been a pleasure. Bye. Have a good day.
Did you turn it off? We need to do the PTI paper toss. Gonna see in 23 and a half hours.
Or like Keith Olbermann.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to start doing that. That's our we need a theme song, too, for next year.
Oh.
I'm weak.
Oh, my goodness.